The biometric scanner at the entrance of the Intergalactic Combat Academy hummed its usual melodic tone as cadets filed through for morning drills. Most displays showed species designations in cool blues and greens. When Daisy stepped through, the scanner's light shifted to an aggressive crimson, and a single word blazed across every screen in the atrium: Earthborn. The crowd parted instinctively. Oscar, standing near the combat ring with his arms crossed, couldn't suppress his grin. He'd seen that reaction 1,000 times since humanity had joined the Galactic Coalition 5 years ago. Fear disguised as caution, respect wrapped in suspicion. "They look at you like you're carrying a plasma grenade," he muttered as Daisy approached. "Better than looking at me like I'm lunch," she replied, rolling her shoulders. Her combat suit, standard issue but modified with Earth military patches, stretched across her athletic frame. "Besides, after yesterday's sparring session, I think they've learned." Yesterday, Daisy had put his Etherian champion 8 feet of scales and muscle flat on his back in under 90 seconds. The medical bay was still treating his bruised ego. Instructor Vornak, a towering Kovaxi with 4 arms and skin like polished obsidian, stood at the center of the training floor. His reputation preceded him. 2 centuries of combat experience, veteran of the Outer Rim Wars, undefeated in single combat. He'd made it clear from day one that he had little patience for the Academy's newest members, especially the humans. Earthborn. Vornak's voice rumbled through the chamber, all 4 eyes fixed on Daisy. "Your species has been part of the Coalition for barely a planetary cycle, yet you carry yourselves with the arrogance of ancient conquerors. Today we test whether that confidence has foundation." Daisy stepped into the ring without hesitation. Oscar felt his pulse quicken. He'd trained with her since they were recruits in the UNSC before applying to the Academy. He knew what she was capable of. Vornak began his lecture, circling her slowly. "Combat is not about strength alone. The Durantines are stronger. It is not about speed. The Scythics are faster. It is about adaptation, anticipation." And his lower right leg snapped out in a devastating sweep kick, moving faster than most species could track. It was his signature move, a test disguised as a lesson. The kick had hospitalized dozens of overconfident cadets, but Daisy's hand shot down, catching his ankle mid-strike. The impact echoed through the silent chamber like a thunderclap. Time seemed to freeze. Vornak's 4 eyes widened, fractionally the first sign of surprise Oscar had ever seen on the instructor's face. Around the ring, cadets from a dozen different worlds stood motionless, their respiratory systems paused mid-breath. Daisy held the ankle steady, her arm absorbing the force that should have shattered bone. Her muscles trembled slightly, but her grip didn't waver. She looked up at Vornak with eyes that held no fear, no anger, only calm determination. "And don't forget it," she said quietly. She released his leg and stepped back, hands returning to a neutral ready position. The silence stretched for 3 heartbeats before Vornak lowered his leg. When he spoke again, his voice carried a different tone, not quite respect, but something adjacent to it. "Earthborn reflexes," he said, addressing the assembled cadets. "Their homeworld's gravity is point-and-hit standard, forcing their muscular and skeletal systems to adapt to constant strain. Their evolutionary path included persistence, hunting, chasing prey to exhaustion across vast distances. They are one of the only species to develop complex problem-solving while simultaneously maintaining apex predator instincts." He turned back to Daisy. "But here is what the data files do not tell you." He moved without warning, launching a combination high strike, low sweep, spinning kick. Daisy flowed between the attacks like water, her movements economical and precise. She didn't counter, didn't attack, she simply proved that she could have. When Vornak finished his demonstration, she was untouched, barely breathing hard. "What the files do not tell you," Vornak continued, "is that humans possess something that cannot be quantified by scanners or measured in laboratories. They call it stubbornness, determination. The refusal to accept defeat even when logic dictates surrender." He gestured to the cadets. "The Earthborn have no natural armor. Their claws are vestigial, their teeth designed for omnivorous consumption rather than combat. They should be prey species, yet they climbed to the top of their planet's food chain through sheer, relentless willpower. They split the atom. They walked on their moon using computers less powerful than our medical scanners. They have survived extinction-level events, plagues, wars, and their own self-destructive tendencies." Oscar watched as understanding dawned across alien faces. Some looked thoughtful, others looked terrified. Vornak's gaze swept the room. "When you face an Earthborn in combat, remember this. They may not be the strongest, the fastest, or the most heavily armed, but they are the ones who will keep coming, Keep adapting, keep fighting long after reason says they should fall. That is why the scanner sounds its warning, not because they are dangerous in the traditional sense, but because they refuse to acknowledge when they are beaten. He turned to Daisy and executed a formal Kolvaxi bow, gesture of warrior recognition rarely given to students well fought. Cadet Thompson, Daisy returned the bow. Thank you, Instructor. As the class dispersed for individual training sessions, Oscar joined her at the edge of the ring. Caught his kick, he said, still processing what he'd witnessed. I thought he was supposed to be unbeatable. Daisy shrugged, a small smile playing at her lips. He probably still is, but he needed to know that humans aren't going to roll over just because we're new to the neighborhood. Think he got the message? Oh yeah. She glanced at the entrance where the scanner still displayed its crimson warning. They all did. Across the training floor, alien cadets who had previously dismissed the human contingent now watched Daisy and Oscar with new eyes, not with fear alone, but with the cautious respect one gives to a sleeping predator. Fascinating and capable of sudden, overwhelming violence. The scanner had labeled them correctly. Earthborn. And the galaxy was beginning to understand what that truly meant.